I'm going to get over this hill and then I'll talk to you. I'm Wendy Ju, and I work on research particularly around how people are going to interact with automation. So we're basically borrowing a little piece of the possible future and then running an experiment to see how people react there. So right now, we're in a driving simulator. In this particular setup, we are testing out this robot steering wheel. I can press this button, and now the car is going to switch in autonomy, but the steering wheel handle actually goes back. And so if I'm a little distracted, daydreaming, and I look down, I know who's in charge, not only because there's this little icon on the dashboard, but I don't even have control that I can grab.
The problem for the driver, though, is paying attention when the machine is in control. Human minds tend to wander, get distracted, or simply shut down.
The idea of autonomous cars is really, really exciting. So it's ironic that the reality of being in an autonomous car is that being in an autonomous car is really, really boring. It goes against intuition, but what our research points to is how to keep people engaged and alert and aware of what's going on the road. Because when we run an experiment, people who are told just to supervise the car are falling asleep. Just the task of supervising the car is not engaging enough to keep people awake.
And this is the Achilles heel of Level 3 autonomy. There needs to be a human ready to avert disaster at all times.
So we have this camera here that's pointed at my face to tell if they're awake or asleep, if they're alert or not. And I think that it's going to become important for the car to do active intervention. Maybe talking to people more, entertaining them more if they look drowsy or asleep, ask them questions, you know, do you think we should go this way or that way? You know, what do you think of this thing over there?
If only the humans inside had something to do, like steer. Just a thought.
We're in this interesting position now in that we've got driverless technology on the roads, but we still require a driver to be behind the driver's seat and step in and take control if the case warrants it.
Having that mid-level of, well, the car will do most of it, but you're the one who's still got to account for any issues or any crashes, I think it's a very dangerous scenario.
Level 3 automation, then, is slightly pointless. A kind of cleverer cruise control with a bit of steering sometimes thrown in. What we really need is something that can take on everything a human driver can. Something clever, intelligent even. Luckily, help is at hand on the other side of the San Francisco Bay Area. The University of California at Berkeley is Stanford's groovier, longer-haired and more radical cousin. Scientists here have come up with this. It may not look radical, but what it can do may just deliver the driverless revolution we've all been promised.
Brett is the Berkeley robot for the elimination of tedious tasks. If you look here, we got Brett's toys. Brett has learned to stack Lego blocks, has learned to put caps onto bottles, assembling pieces of this airplane.
Whilst this might seem slightly underwhelming, the key here is the idea of learning. Nobody has written Brett, a bottle-top program, or a block-stacking algorithm. The robot has worked it out for itself, something that until recently was the exclusive domain of animals with sizable brains.
I am Peter Abil. I'm a professor at UC Berkeley, and I work on artificial intelligence for robotics. Principal robots are mechanically very capable and could do a lot of things, but in practice, they do very little for us. What's holding them back is their lack of intelligence.
Or at least it was. Artificial intelligence, also known as machine learning, is allowing robots to acquire new skills for themselves, just like we do.
So, imitation learning is the process of having a robot learn from watching something done for it. And then in the future, faced with a different situation, has to tie a knot, we're going to see the robot understand what to do in the new situation.
For this challenge, the rope is relayed in roughly the same place, and Brett is asked to tie the knot again.
All right, let's see what Brett can do now.
Brett can't simply repeat the exact motions he's been shown because the rope isn't in exactly the same place. He'll have to adapt the principles of the challenge to the reality of the rope's new position.
It's not just repeating the motions we gave, it's looking at how the new situation relates to the old situation and then morphing the motions, make them the right motions for the new situation. Yeah, there, Brett did it. Beautiful knot.
Beautiful indeed, but Brett's skills don't end at imitation. He can work out how to perform a task from scratch, like a toddler. A rather unattractive toddler with metal arms and an electronic brain, but if he can learn, there's no reason why one day Brett or a robot like him couldn't learn to drive. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We specify the objective rather than the strategy to achieve something. So you don't have to demonstrate everything multiple times for the robot to understand what to do. You just give the robot an objective. And then the robot just can go at it, pretty much like a kid playing, trying, and over time getting better and better.
This challenge requires Brett to get the red cube into the box through one of the holes, but he's not shown how.
It has no model of how its own arm works. So initially, the best it can do is random motion.
So right now,
as it refines that model and gets more data from its own attempts, it gets better and better at finding a solution to get the block into the matching opening. And actually very quickly, this took maybe 1 minute of learning, and it invented how to do that from scratch.
With imitation learning, Brett simply adapts an action that is being shown, but machine learning, artificial intelligence, allows him to solve a problem for himself. The implications for his descendants and ours are far-reaching.
Maybe you want a robot to do something more precise than a human has ever done. You can give it the objective, and then it'll on its own try, not succeed initially, fail most of the time, but over time get better and better and maybe exceed human performance.
When it comes to driverless cars, exceeding human performance is essential. After all, not many of us would want to be driven around by Brett. Artificial intelligence is the latest technological new kid on the block, and areas that seemingly have nothing to do with driving are busy making friends with it, unwittingly preparing AI for its upcoming automotive challenge.